Welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. It's finished here. Hibernian 2, Hamilton 0, a game in which we will be sat talking about the ref, I think, but we will try to talk about the game as much as possible. But we will start with the ref. In the first half alone, he had two big decisions, and in my personal opinion, he got both of them wrong. I think he was wrong to send off Jamie Hamilton. It's a rash challenge, but it's not a sending off. Doesn't touch the man after watching the replay. And the penalty awarded to Hibernian that Fulton made a great save to deny is never a penalty. Dodge throws himself to the ground. So two big decisions in the first half, two wrong decisions. Josh, I'll come to you first because he said on Twitter, you were speaking about the red card. After kind of seeing some replays, you're not so sure anymore, but what are your thoughts on that?
Hi, mate. So basically, after seeing it the first time, obviously, we're all agreeing it's a very reckless challenge. And I don't think that Jamie Hamilton's intended it to look the way it has. I think he's just fully committed to winning the ball. And to be fair to him, he's taking 90% of the ball. But in the clip that you see, and especially the one that I saw, you see Boyle take the slightest of touch just before Hamilton comes in. And I think that's what the ref has thought, that Jamie Hamilton's coming through and he's taking his foot with him. So, and watching it again, I'm not going to lie, I think Jack Ross has told his team, look, this boy's susceptible to a very reckless challenge. If you see it, go down. I mean, Guy Martin Boyle an Oscar for his performance, man. He was rolling about like he was doing the rest of it. So I think that they've been informed that that could have been an area of weakness for our backline, especially with no Aaron Martin there. As you can just see, it's a bit clumsy back there with a few of the challenges. And I don't even think Jamie Hamilton was the only one who was putting in clumsy challenges. I think Brian Easton was throwing in clumsy challenges as well. Again, I think Adolphin was fantastic today, but I mean, that red card for me was, after watching it again, was very 50-50. I don't know. I'm still not convinced it is either way.
Right, okay. Brandon, I know you are convinced one way. I mean, what were your thoughts?
It doesn't touch the player at all. So how I understand it's a rash challenge. He goes in with his studs sort of shown. So you can kind of understand the ref's logic, kind of, but it doesn't touch the player at all. So you can't send somebody off for no touching a player.
Yeah.
That's like saying, for instance, if I walk about the pitch with my leg up at my head, you need to send me off. But I'm not touching him. Do you know what I mean?
I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see that.
It makes no sense. And I just, it pissed me off. I think Easton's to blame for that red card, personally.
I agree.
Easton was so poor.
Because Easton was so poor today. Easton's so far away, so that's where Hamilton needs to come in and sort of cover the space and the gaps there. But like Josh says, Boyle deserves an Oscar. You could hear him squealing like a fucking pig. It pissed me off, mate, because we started off so bright. I didn't really expect much for the game, but we started off so bright, and that decision just killed it completely.
Oggy hitting the post was brilliant, honestly. I thought we were going to...
Definitely, and that decision killed it. Boyle gets up straight away and then he scores a goal which Fulton wasn't the best at, but you can't really say much against Fulton because he was outstanding the rest of the game, in my opinion. But the decision itself is a major talking point. I would love Accies to appeal it. They're not going to, because I'm not going to pay $1,000 to appeal it or whatever it is. I think it's like £1,000, £2,000 to appeal it. So they're not going to do that. But it was good to see Rice at the end fucking having a go at the referee, because I thought he would have just like let the decision sort of just go as such. But it's good to see sort of get that wee bit of fight in him, and he does show emotion that he understands that decision did cost us, despite spitting on himself after it.
The other big decision the ref had to make was obviously the penalty. It's never a penalty. David Moyle clears the ball. Dodge throws himself over David Moyle's leg. Moyle's not made the challenge or anything. He's just cleared the ball. And I think the referee's just seen, David Moyle's foot go up to clear the ball, Dodge falling on the ground and is awarded a penalty. But it's the other
I
wrong
just want to
decision.
put in a wee point there, right? And obviously we've been talking about Easton a lot. Easton was right next to Moyle when they were making that challenge. And I don't know, I couldn't see like a close-up view of it or whatever, but I don't know if somebody's maybe stood on his foot or whatever, and obviously he's went down like a fucking sack of potatoes after that. But at the same time, it's always when Easton's making a mistake that we're getting paid. We have to pay for it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what's happened to Sheena. I mean, I remember it was a point in the Motherwell game, I think it was. He took a fairly decent collision, and he was obviously seen as one of these people that doesn't really like stand up straight. After that, he was hunkered over and he was heavy breathing and shit. And I don't know whether his head's been messed up since then, but he's making mistake after mistake after mistake. There was even one later in the second half where he tried to clear it and ended up going to the back post. And it's just, I don't know what's happened with Sheena recently, but he's definitely taking a dip.
I thought Brian Easton really, really was not great today. I mean, purely from
He looks as if he's fucking, whether it's the first minute or the 90th minute, he looks as if he's about to collapse. I'm not gonna, honestly, he does.
No, he does.
He's puffing at his arse, and I don't know what it is. And when we've had the man doing, it was going to be a mountain to climb, and you've just got the two at the back, because Hamilton has today the sort of Hibs expanded in the sort of width between positions. Easton's not going to cover that, and that's why it was such an uphill task for them on in. But no, Easton certainly doesn't look the player he was. The sort of, I don't know when in the season, but something doesn't seem to be clicking.
Even like 3-4 games ago, when it was Hamilton, Martin, and Easton, he looked a lot better. Now I don't know.
You bring up a good point with Martin. Yeah, I think it's big.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the fact that he's got another experienced guy beside him. You know, maybe he's not. You know, maybe he's not the man to lead a young back line. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It just since obviously today obviously missing Aaron Martin, but when Aaron Martin, Hamilton, and Easton all played together, I thought Easton was brilliant.
I feel like
the second goal was Easton's fault as well.
Oh, this is what I said kind of later on in the game is Hibs just, once we got a man sent off, just targeted that side because they knew Easton's got no pace. If you can get by Easton, you're done. Nobody's catching you.
Well, the one thing you're always assured with Aaron Martin is he keeps it back line organised, and you can always tell that he's a communicator back there. I don't think it's Fulton that communicates. Sheena talks, but I don't think it's more of like an organisation. It's more of like a motivation sort of he uses. So you can tell that when Aaron Martin's not there, it's fucking higgledy-piggledy. You've got Hamilton coming across to cover Sheena. You've got McMahon tucking inside Easton and Easton covering the left wing back. And it's just like it's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when Martin's there, it's really stable. You've got everyone doing their jobs and everyone getting back to do what they have to do.
Yeah, and we'll go on to talk about the game now. And as we said earlier on, we started brightly. Do you know what I mean? Augie hits the post, one or two other kind of half chances before that, and it is the sending off that changes the game. But can we say anything bad about the team today? Because it's not the team's fault we lost today, in my opinion. It's the referees.
I don't think there's, in my opinion, this sort of review of the game, there's not much to talk about, in my opinion. The decision cost the game. The game was over, in my opinion, as soon as that's happened. We changed the way in which our sort of structure, it didn't necessarily change. We just kept the sort of four at the back, but it made the game dead and buried. I say as if we kept it to the 70th minute, we'd maybe have a wee chance and we could maybe have had a go at them because we don't play for a week and a half. But it's another case, and I don't want to really talk about any sort of negatives that much, but they two subs I didn't understand.
Hughes and
Mimno for Trafford and Anderson. It seemed a wee bit to me as if it was damage limitation sort of thing, which I suppose you could say is a wee bit understandable, but I just don't think there's much any point in talking about that match because it was over after 11 minutes.
I have to say, one man who was committed for the whole length of time he was on was Scott Martin. I thought he was.
That's what I know, 100%. I said that to Latimer. I says I would be interested to know how much ground Scott Martin covered in that match because he was all over the joint. He was up at Marciano 1 second, then next minute he's making a goal clearance, like a sort of one-on-one clearance against one of their strikers. So
he put the block in on Deutsch when Deutsch broke.
That's the one. Scott Martin was brilliant today, and he would definitely get my man in the match if you were giving anyone to it. But the game as a whole, I just don't think you should really talk about it because the referee killed it.
Felt like the Newell and Jackson Irvine did a good job of shutting down Callaghan as well because he was never to be seen today.
Callaghan was non-existent. That was a really poor game for him. I know he was non-existent. But I just don't want to really go in and over criticise people when there's no point when the referee killed it.
No.
I agree. That's why I'm saying I don't think we can criticise the players too much because the game is dead by the sending off. Just before we go, Josh, I will ask you though about Ryan Fulton because we know you've had a lot to say about Ryan Fulton online.
Aye.
In my opinion,
it's because Josh wants the number 1 jersey.
Come on, Tex.
In my opinion,
got my gloves in, by the
way. In my opinion, Fulton should have done better for the first goal, but after that, he did keep us in it. He kept the score down. And it's not his fault for the second goal. What were your opinions on Ryan Fulton today?
Well, like you say, I don't want to complain about his latter half performance, but the one thing I have to say, and I don't know whether this is a sort of mentality thing, is when he starts a game, it feels like, and I don't want to say that this was the reason that we conceded that Boyle shot, because, I mean, I didn't see his view. Maybe he was unsighted by a defender, but it seems like he's a bit complacent coming into games because obviously, I mean, even Pix will know himself. If you've got someone underneath you that you can compete with, it pushes you to a higher level. We all know that Fulton's got a good natural ability to him, but to push himself to the next sort of level, he needs someone there to kind of give him that kick. And I feel like you can tell when he's starting games on a back foot, do you know what I mean? Then having to get a save or two and get into it. So I don't know whether that's just the fact that the goalkeepers underneath aren't really pushing him to that next level or whether he just doesn't want to go to that next level. But I think that first goal, he should have definitely got a hand to it. Although if Boyle has planned it to bounce in front of him, it's a smart shot because you know that goalkeepers struggle on the bounce. Like everyone wants a clean save or a good height like the penalty. But the bounce obviously it's one of those ones you expect him to at least tip it onto the post or something, get at least fingertips to it. But other than that, he made a few good saves. He had one that was near post. I can't even remember who it was, but it was a powerful shot. Might have been either Newell or somebody out on the right-hand side came inside and he made a good save for that. But he had a good few saves and he was collecting crosses as well after that. So can't fully complain about it, but it does feel like he's starting very complacent and on the sort of, like I said, back foot.
I've never ever thought about that, and see when I'm actually thinking about it, it's on here, it makes total sense. So fair play to Josh in that one. He does start the game.
And agreement?
Mad, innit? You need a contest to make sure.
It does. It seems as if it takes, when you think about it, even going back the days when we played Albion Rovers, he made like a howler at the start, and then after that, he made a couple of pretty decent saves. So it would make sense that Fulton doesn't start games particularly well, and it could be maybe a slight mistake he makes or somebody gives him a kick up the arse. It's just something that's not there, and he eventually does kick on in the match because it is the sort of latter stages of the games, like second half, where he does make the sort of better saves and he does stand out more in the match. So, no, Josh, something to think about, definitely.
Definitely, mate.
Guys, thank you very much for coming today.
No problem.
Appreciate it, boys. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too, mate.
Fuck Craig Napier.
What a night.